All right, let's dive right into this. What are these two shortcuts? Logan, read the title.
ASA and
Careful.
AAS.
Tink you. Okay. You will notice there is a single word that we have not said that would be considered a bad word, right? Y'all know what I'm saying? Okay. You will notice that we've covered side, 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 side angle, side. Now we're covering, so we covered this, this, this. Now we have angle, side, angle, 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 side. You will notice there is a particular three-letter word with those letters that is not up there, right? You with me?
That?
Huh? Why is that? Because we don't encourage people to be a jerk, right? There you go. So that's how you remember that, and if you don't know what we're talking about, we'll say ask. How's that? We'll say ask. Change the K to a side. But anyways, we don't tolerate someone being a jerk. So that's why that's not a shortcut. And actually there's math behind it, and it would be in the Desmos activity that you did. I can show you tomorrow why it will not work. But the way to remember it is no one wants to deal with a jerk, right? Anyone that's being a jerk, you just want to show them the door. So it is not on the list of shortcuts.
So like it wouldn't be a problem, like say if I was to do that, it wouldn't be a congruent problem.
Correct. It can be presented. In fact, if you look at page 51, don't remember what number it was. It was number 8. Number 8 on page 51. Do I still have it on here? Yeah, I have it on here. Look at this would be angle side, side. And
it doesn't work.
It does not work because that's a jerk, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so can it actually be on your question? Like, can it be a question on the sheet? Yes. But the answer is not congruent. Not enough info. We're not dealing with a jerk. So these are the shortcuts. Now, we've learned these two. These next two are the same mindset, concept, approach. Everything's the same. The difference is the location of the congruent marks. That's the difference, okay? All right, so let's dive in. Okay. If two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the included side of another triangle, then they're congruent. So this is ASA. This time we have two congruent angles, one congruent side. The side is in between the congruent angles. Once again, if you will get a highlighter and highlight the congruent side, it will make the question easier. Because then you can see those two angles that are congruent are definitely touching the congruent side. By the way, I would like to fix this picture. These marks match and those angles definitely don't match. So let's add an arc right here. Let's change that to 2 arcs. Do you see what's bothering me? Those angles definitely cannot match each other because one's obtuse and one's acute. All right, so now let's run with it. So, very good. And since that's a side, I'm going to put it in the middle. So AB is congruent to XY. Very good. And angle. Very good. That's an angle, a side, and an angle. And if you go right next to the triangle, you can clearly see, okay, that's an angle, that's a side, that's an angle. That's ASA. Come over here, confirm the same thing. That's an angle, that's a side, that's an angle. So the two triangles would be congruent. Let's name them. I'm going to call it ABC. If I call that one ABC, I've got to call the other one XYZ. All right, so that is ASA. I think ASA is like the second easiest one because if you will highlight the side that's congruent, the two angles that are congruent should be touching. It should be on each end. So that's probably the second easiest shortcut. All right, now let's look at angle, angle, side. This is probably one of the most challenging ones. If two angles and the non-included side of the triangle are congruent to two angles and the corresponding non-included side, then the triangles are congruent. And again, we need to fix this picture because it makes it look like all those angles are the same, and they can't be because two of them are definitely obtuse. So fix that picture. All right, I'm going to take my highlighter. I'm going to highlight the side that is equal. Bailey, stay with me. I'm going to highlight the side that's equal. Notice the highlighted side is only touching how many congruent angles? See this congruent angle? Is it touching that side? Yes. What about this one? Yes. What about the other ones? If I was to trace those congruent angles, will I hit the green? If I trace this angle, will I hit green? Like if I do this, am I hitting green? No. What about here? No. That's the difference between included and non-included. Included means, think back to the other sheet. When you make the peace sign, the angle that is in between your two fingers is included. Here, the angle B is only touching the green. Angle A is not touching it. So angle A is considered non-included. All right, but everything else is the same. So now let's look at it. We're going for AAS, which means list the side last. So start with the angle farthest away. Which one would that be? Farthest away from the side. A. Angle A is congruent to angle X. Now trace around it. So here's an angle. Trace. There's an angle. Trace. There's a side. You see it? Here's an angle. There's an angle. There's a side. So angle B is congruent to angle Y. Side BC is congruent to side YZ. This is an angle, and a side. So these two triangles are congruent by the shortcut, angle, angle, side. Alright, same type of practice problems. The first 9, let me look back that. The first 8 questions are just saying, hey, do you have enough info? And if you do, what shortcut? The next 2 questions are saying use ASA, and the last 2 questions are saying use AAS. So let's do a couple together, and then whatever we don't finish is your practice assignment, okay? Alright, so we're looking at ASA or AAS every time. Remember, if they're touching, there's a potential congruent mark that needs to be made. Okay, number 1, do I have anything secret that I need to mark? What is it? Vertical angles. Now, do I need to put a single arc or 2? 2. So we got vertical angles right here. All right. Stay with me. We still got 7 minutes. Stay with me. We're looking for ASA or AAS. Go to the picture and just start labeling around it, okay? So there's nothing, when I say label, I mean put an A or an S if you have a congruent mark. So there's nothing here, nothing here. That's a side. That's an angle. Nothing. Angle. And then what order would those letters appear? AAS. That's the only one we have. We don't have SAA. That's just the reverse. That's AAS. Then come over here and confirm it's the same thing. So there's nothing, nothing, side, angle, angle. So it's the same thing. So yes, they are congruent by angle, angle, side. Number 2, they're touching. What's not marked?
The middle line.
The middle line, the shared side. Now label your picture. So this is a side, nothing, side, nothing, nothing, nothing. Not enough information. I don't even need to check the other one, right? There's not enough information. You could check the other one, but you should notice the ones we're using are ASA and AAS, which means we definitely need some angles here, and we don't. Now, number 3, what's not marked because they're touching? Shared side right here. All right, let's label our info. So just start wherever and just label. This is an angle. This is an angle. This is a side. Go to the other one. Angle, angle, side. So what's yes or no? Yes. What shortcut? AAS. I would love for you to finish this practice sheet and us be able to go over it tomorrow, okay?